here you can see, so after we discuss data, we are now at the pre-processing phase. Okay, so in the pre-processing phase we are going to discuss about the data cleaning. So when we talk about data cleaning, we have different things, like we first decide what is the target variable. Once you have the data, you get into the pre-processing phase and you decide what is the target variable. Then you handle the missing values. Then you perform some sort of exploratory data analysis to see how the data is distributed, whether there are outliers or not. If there are outliers, then you remove those outliers, and then you go to the data transformation stage, where you deal with the data encoding, maybe feature selections, and etc. And we'll talk about this particular stage later in our lecture. Okay, so first thing that you'll be doing is decide the target variable. So let's say I have a data, and data is given in some tabular format. So I have different attributes here in the data, and the attribute is basically giving me the information regarding the data set itself. So out of those attributes, I'll be selecting one target variable on which I need to focus, and for which I want to find out the relationship between that particular variable and the other attributes that I am having. Okay, so let's suppose that I took this particular attribute as my target variable. So I'll be finding the relationship between this particular attribute and all the other attributes that I'll be having as features. Okay, so once you decided that this is my target variable, you need to see what is the amount of missing value that particular data set is having. Okay, so let's suppose that you are having this data set here, and let's say that there are 6 records that you are having. Suppose that I went and I was collecting the data related to the salary of individuals. So I asked few questions with each and every individual, maybe the age of that particular person, maybe the qualification, maybe the type of job he is doing or she is doing, and then I'll ask the salary also, and maybe some other column, maybe the family size or something else. Okay, so when I'll ask one person, he will be giving me the responses, and those will be stored in a single record here. Okay, in a single row, and this row will be known as a record here. Okay, so likewise, let's suppose that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 records here. Okay, now if I have some missing value here, let's suppose that I have a missing value there, and there. So before making any analysis, I need to find out a way to eliminate these missing values, or to impute, to fill these missing values. So first thing I need to do, there are certain rules that I need to follow. So I'll be looking at the number of records with the missing values. Okay, so here I have 1, 2, 3 records that are having missing values, and if I'll see that if the number of records that are having missing values is in the range of 1 to 10% of the total size of the data set. So let's say I have 100 records here. Okay, 100 records are already there, and if I count 1, 2, 3, I have 3 missing values. It means that 3% of the data set is having missing value. So I can remove directly those records. I can remove these records. Okay, and I'll be losing very less information, right? So this is one rule. You can obviously you can select this range. You can make your own rule that maybe 1% of the records are having missing values, then you'll be removing it. So it depends on the project, or on the maybe on the data set that you are having. Okay, now it also depends on your choice, whether you want to go to the next step of processing for these few records that are having the missing values. Is it worth processing the whole data set to impute the missing values, or it will be good to just remove those missing values? Okay, so it's just a choice that is given here, that will be taken by you. Okay, but remember that you cannot remove the records if the number of missing values are more than 10%. Okay, now next thing is that let's suppose that you did this step and you removed, let's say, 5% of the missing 5% of the data set because it was having the missing value. Okay, now the next thing that you can do is you need to see whether there is a record that is having missing value at the target attribute. So let's say this is my target attribute and I'm having missing value here. Okay, so I can directly remove this particular record, because see, the experiment has been done but the response has not been collected, so it is useless for me, right? So I can remove it. Now the third thing that you can do is you can see where all the features are missing. Let's say I have this record number 3 here, and I see that this is missing, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing, and only response is present. So this is also useless to me, because see, the experiment has not been done but the response of the individual has been collected. How can this be possible? So I can remove this one also, right? So these 3 rules you will be applying to check whether you need to remove a particular record or not. Okay, now after you do this, you need to move to step number 2, where you will be removing the columns, the attributes itself. Okay, and to remove them you need to just follow this. So if you will see attribute by attribute, and you will see whether the number of missing values that are present on that particular column, that particular attribute. Obviously I'm not talking about the target variable here. Obviously you cannot remove the target variable, because if you'll remove the target variable, then what is the need of doing all the modeling, right? So this is the variable for which we are doing everything. So now, except the target variable, you'll be looking on the columns that are present here, and you'll be looking how many number of missing values the particular column is having. So like here, our age is having 1 and 2 missing values. Okay, and you'll count those missing values, and then you'll see if the number of missing values that are present for an attribute are more than 50% of the total records. So let's say we are having 100 records and we are having, let's say, 60 missing values for the age, then we will be removing that. Okay, we'll be removing this particular attribute here, age itself. And likewise you'll be checking for each and every attribute. So if the missing values are less than 50%, you'll be keeping that particular attribute, or else you'll remove it. Now this 50% also you can choose. Okay, it's your choice. This threshold is your choice, and I want you to experiment with this threshold and tell me what is the conclusion that you are getting, whether there will be loss of information, or whether the model will become very accurate or overfit. And these overfit and underfit, these terminologies will be studying in great detail later. Okay, so this is the second rule that you need to follow. The third one is, after doing this particular step 1 and step 2, you'll be moving to the third step.